In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 syndromes that you can just get out of the blue with no onset of symptoms at all, which will absolutely terrify you. And the causes of these symptoms are generally not known why they actually happen. There is speculation, but that's basically about it. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. Now, I absolutely love scary stories, scary facts, conspiracies, aliens, UFOs, true crime, and I love to draw. So I have decided to do a channel that combines those things that I love to do. I combine the two to hopefully bring you a unique experience in the 2 genres. Now, I do my best to bring you the most accurate information out there. I go through the internet and I do my research because there is quite some conflicting stories out there, or there is slightly different takes on a lot of things. I compile as much as I can, and if there's any consistencies throughout all the research that I do, I will add that to the stories and I will add that into the videos. But by all means, if I miss anything out, or if you feel that something is a little bit amiss, let me know in the comment section below. Don't mind me, it's 1,000 degrees here in Australia right now. It's summer and I'm just sweating. Hence my shiny face. I'm just a big grease ball right now. Now, if you like any of my art in any of my videos, I do have them on my Redbubble store. I'm trying to add them all. I'm pretty hopeless when it comes to updating on my social medias and all that. So yeah, I'm getting there. If you don't see something on my Redbubble store, it will be there eventually, so just keep checking back. And just a warning, some things in these videos may trigger some people, may make people a little bit, like uncomfortable, but nothing's meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victims' families that I mention in any of my videos. But if you are a sensitive person, I recommend not watching my channel. With that being said, let's get on with the video and let's get on with the drawing. Fried rice syndrome is the name given to a particular food poisoning that involves a bacteria called Bacillus cereus that grows on rice, pasta and other starchy foods, but mainly rice, if left out at room temperature for hours after being cooked and then transferred to the fridge or to the bench top and left for a few days or longer before reheating. This bacteria is not killed by reheating the food. Reheating it kills everything else but the emetic toxin, as it is heat resistant. This bacteria is found in soil as well. This illness causes sudden diarrhea and vomiting with severe stomach pain and resembles the same symptoms as staphylococcal food poisoning. It is, however, rarely fatal, but there has been cases of deaths relating to fried rice syndrome. When the rice is left out at room temperature, the existing Bacillus cereus spores will grow into bacteria and multiply. Then the toxin that makes you sick is produced. No matter how hot you cook your food at, the toxin still remains. But in saying that, apparently pan frying and roasting can be hot enough to remove most of the bacteria, but not all of it. Now, the symptoms usually start a few hours after eating the leftovers of rice, and the full-blown illness lasts about 24 hours. Takeout rice is the worst, so be very careful because you don't know how long the rice has been out for before being served to you, but a lot of places like Chinese restaurants are usually aware of this. Always get the rice into the fridge within the hour of it being cooked and consume within 24 hours. The best way to prevent this is to cook the rice, let it cool briefly, and then get it into the fridge. Don't leave it on the bench or in the pot on the stove to get to room temperature, or eat your meal or go off and do something else. Just in the last few years, a case has been revealed of a 20-year-old Belgian man dying from fried rice syndrome after eating 5-day-old pasta. Apparently this student would make his meals in advance on a Sunday for the following week to save time and money. The mistake he made was boiling the pasta and then leaving it on the bench in the kitchen at room temperature for the week and not storing it in the fridge. He would then just add the sauce to some of it and then reheat it for his meal. He apparently noticed a weird taste but thought that it was just the new sauce that he had made and kept eating it. Afterwards, he went to play sports, but after 30 minutes he was in pain, felt sick and had a bad headache. He went home and the vomiting and diarrhea followed, so he decided to keep hydrated and go to bed to try and sleep it off. The next day, when he didn't get up for his classes, his parents were worried, so they went in to check on him and found him dead in his bed. The autopsy showed that he died at around 4 a.m. of liver failure and acute pancreatitis, 10 hours after eating the pasta. Samples from his stomach of the pasta and sauce and from the container were sent away, and it confirmed it had Bacillus cereus in it. Usually this just makes people sick, but in extreme rare cases, it can affect the liver and be fatal. Clinical lycanthropy is rare, but is a psychiatric syndrome that makes you believe you can shapeshift into a wolf, or more specifically, a werewolf. An individual honestly believes they hold the power to transform, and it comes from a delusion that they can, caused by a hallucination in their own mind. People feel like they are the animal, and they also behave in a manner that resembles the animal they think that they can transform into, such as growling, crawling, and howling. In some cases, this neurological illness can make people believe that they are just a normal dog, fox, cat, hyena, horse, bird, tiger, frog, bees, and snakes. In some cases, some people believe that they can transform into several animals, one after the other, before returning to reality of their human existence. This syndrome doesn't just form on its own. It's usually found in people with dissociative identity disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, and depression. It can also be brought on by certain drugs and brain traumas. A 19-year-old South Florida man named Austin Harif randomly murdered John Stevens and Michelle Mishcon with a knife in their home in Martin County on the 15th of August 2016. When the police arrived at the home of the 59 and 53-year-old, they were confronted by Austin laying on top of John, growling and chewing on his face, tearing chunks off of his cheeks. He had also chewed off Michelle's face as well. He also injured a neighbor who was trying to help the couple by stabbing him. When Austin was arrested and interviewed, he allegedly told police that he felt like he was half man, half dog, but had blanked out and didn't remember most of it. And he was taken to a mental health facility and diagnosed with bipolar, psychosis, and lycanthropy. He was labelled as mentally unstable with hallucinations and delusions clouding his judgment, but the family of the murdered couple believe, after witnessing his character in court, that he knew exactly what he was doing. He still remains behind bars now, as far as I know, and he's still awaiting trial. Exploding head syndrome is a sleep disorder that sounds painful, but it's not. Well, not physically painful anyways. It's where a person hears loud explosions or noises in their head while they are trying to sleep. The sounds are not real or heard by others around them, but it's been described as like a gunshot or thunder going off. It also rears its ugly head when you wake up during the night. Although it is harmless, it's just annoying to the individual and doesn't require treatment. Other symptoms that go along with EHS are flashes of light and muscle jerks. It can be found in all age groups, but it is dominantly in women. People experience these episodes ranging from several times a night over several nights in a row, then follows weeks or months without anything, to just having them for a single night, then nothing. Researchers don't really know what causes EHS, but the only thing that they can kind of link to it is that some people get them when they are in periods of stress or tiredness. The episodes themselves only last a few seconds at a time, but some people can feel frightened or anxious after an episode, have trouble falling back to sleep, or wake up sweating with palpitations and trouble breathing. A sleep specialist will want you to undergo some tests to rule out other conditions, such as a polysomnogram, which measures brain and body activity during sleep, an MRI, which will scan your brain and body, and or an EEG to record electrical activity in your brain to make sure that you don't have nocturnal epilepsy. I have had an experience with exploding head syndrome, and I only ever really got it when I had absolutely no sleep whatsoever the night before. So I've just kept, I was up all night, and then I would go all through the day. When I would lay down at night and try and get some sleep after that, I would actually see lights in my eyes and would basically be jerked awake, and would hear like a bang or something. So I do reckon it is some sort of brain glitch or neuro misfire. It should be fixed by getting a good night's sleep and dealing with your stress, anxiety, and it will just sort itself out. Another rare syndrome is alien hand syndrome. This was first discovered in 1908, and the individuals who get this believe that they have lost control of one of their hands. The person's mind can no longer control the alien hand or give orders or directions, as it just continues to move around and perform actions they seem to be able to do on their own accord. So in other words, the hand has a mind of its own, and you can't do a single thing about it. The hand will do unnecessary motions and even inappropriate actions that leave the individual either embarrassed or terrified by the experience. This can also affect a leg as well. So far in all patients, it only affects one limb at a time. AHS is usually caused by some kind of damage to the brain where it disrupts the movement and control of the limb. This can be caused by a brain tumor, stroke, aneurysm, brain damage from external trauma, and of course, Parkinson's disease. To test for it, an MRI is done, a diffusion tensor MRI is also done, or a CT scan can be done on the brain as well. This disorder can cause significant psychological effects on a person. Some people have completely disowned or disassociated from the hand and will no longer recognize it as their own hand, which is very traumatic for the individual. Some people can involuntarily inappropriately grope someone, involuntarily grasp an object, and have difficulties releasing that said object. Some even experience involuntary levitation, so the hand just rises up for no reason, and random waving. AHS can last as little as 30 minutes or, worst case scenario, the rest of your life. The only way to treat AHS is by CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, so the individual can come to terms with their syndrome and keep the hand distracted by making it hold something while you go about your everyday tasks. Also, visuospatial coaching techniques can help, which helps you try and reintroduce your hand back to your body and regain control, or medications such as clonazepam, which can reduce the symptoms of alien hand syndrome by 70% in a few days. Some people even sit on their hands in public to stop any kind of embarrassment. An 81-year-old Massachusetts woman developed AHS in her left hand that caused her to choke herself, hit and scratch her face, neck and shoulders. She also developed numbness and tingling down the left side of her face, arm and leg. She was disorientated when she arrived at hospital and thought her daughter was a nurse. She described her left side of her body as being out of control and like someone else was in control, and her left hand was trying to kill her. She had a subacute infarction in the right thalamus, hippocampus, inferior temporal lobes, and occipital lobe, which in layman terms means she had a stroke. This is one of the more messed up syndromes, but Apotemnophilia, or body integrity identity disorder is an uncontrollable urge to cut off one or more of your healthy limbs where there is absolutely nothing wrong with the limb or limbs, or to become a paraplegic. An individual becomes extremely attracted to the fact of being an amputee. The desire to remove a limb can be so strong that if no one helps them achieve it, they can try to amputate the limb themselves so they can feel whole again. The individual feels discomfort towards their limb, as to them it feels strange to what they truly feel they are as a person. The onset of Apotemnophilia usually starts in childhood or adolescence, and males are more likely to develop it more than females. Now, the biggest reason in studies that I saw to why people want to amputate a limb is to feel satisfied inside, which is usually around 80% of people. There is no real known reason why people develop this, but it's definitely something neurological, and there is no real proven treatment for people who suffer from this other than psychotherapy or going on antidepressants. A 19-year-old woman named Sophie hated her feet, and she never felt like anything from her knees down belonged on her body. In 2005, Sophie started planning to get rid of her legs from the knees down. She knew a train carrying cement went past her seaside home in Scotland at 2 p.m. every day, so she thought about lying her shins over the tracks, but the thought of being dragged by her legs for miles stopped her from doing it. She even thought about shooting them off with a gun, but it was hard to get a gun, and also she thought about staging a car accident, but a car accident was too unpredictable. In 2007, she tried to amputate her limbs herself, but it was a complete disaster. She couldn't stand the pain from the dry ice, and she was left with blisters and couldn't walk for weeks. Even though she has had help with therapy over the years, the now 37-year-old is suffering from suicidal thoughts because of the legs she just doesn't want, and no one near her will amputate them. So let me know if you know anybody in your life that has any of these or has had any of these particular syndromes, and yeah, leave a comment in the description below about your experience, or if you know of someone else who has had an experience, because I'd be very interested to learn more about these, because these just sound absolutely traumatic. And it is quite terrifying that they really don't have a solid sort of foundation of what causes some of these. Like, they still are just guessing. So the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was to combine all the syndromes together. So you've got like this being that is starting to morph into a sort of like an animal, and its head's exploding from the exploding head syndrome side. Then all these tentacles from behind it is basically the fried rice syndrome, which is also tied in with the intestines hanging out as well, because of the feeling that you feel and make you very violently ill if it doesn't kill you. And then you've got the part where you've got the Apotemnophilia side with the one hand has the axe and it's cut the other one off, and also that particular hand or arm that has been cut off has got alien hand syndrome, so it's running around grabbing the base of his leg and just trying to cause havoc. So yeah, I just wanted to combine all the syndromes, and this is the vision that I got. It's not my favourite illustration, but it's alright. But yeah, just thought I had, and whether or not I executed it good is another thing, but yeah, that is basically it. So that is it from me. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, I couldn't care less, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.